Let me explain exactly what I'm talking about. As of this morning, early voting is underway in 29 states, Hawaii, Louisiana, Utah, all kicking off today. But it is the numbers that are getting people's attention. Take Texas, for example. On Monday, Harris County residents, that's home to Houston, set a new record for the first day of early voting, nearly doubling the previous record. In fact, Harris County saw more votes on day one than in either the 2008 or 2012 presidential elections. Okay, you say that's because President Trump was out there campaigning. But it's pretty much the same story all over the place. In North Carolina, the first 5 days saw more votes cast than in 2016. Same thing in Minnesota. The Secretary of State there said the level of participation is, quote, off the charts. In Georgia, the number of people heading to the polls on day one of early voting was triple what it was during the midterm of 2014. In one Indiana county, the rate was 10 times higher than it was 4 years ago. And one more significant thing, all of this talk of a blue wave, well, it's been Republicans who have come out the most in this early voting. According to data provided by Target Smart and analyzed by NBC News, the number of GOP voters surpasses Democrats in 7 out of 8 key states. And in most states, it's not even particularly close. In Florida, Republicans are outpacing Democrats by 6 points. In Georgia, 9 points. In Texas, where the president campaigned for Ted Cruz yesterday, 10 points. In Arizona, where Martha McSally and Kirsten Sinema are in a dead heat, the early vote favors Republicans by 11%. In Indiana, the lead is 12 points. In Montana, where Matt Rosendale is trying to beat the incumbent, Democratic Senator John Tester, it's a 17-point advantage for Republicans. And in Tennessee, the number of Republican early voters, are you ready? 33 points higher than the Democrats. Democrats lead in early voting in only one state, Nevada. Now, it's not clear whether the president is driving all this, but he certainly has been front and center on the campaign trail this month. And he's also been more and more bold in stretching the truth, or in some cases, just blatantly lying about his administration and his Democratic opponents on everything from entitlements to tax cuts to the caravan and sanctuary cities. The president has told lie after lie. And instead of pitching a positive message, he has stoked fear about an unpredictable and potentially dangerous world. Here's just some of what he had to say last night.
The Democrats want to replace freedom with socialism. Instead of a tax cut, you're going to have a big, beautiful tax raise. In that caravan, you have some very bad people. That is an assault on our country. If Ted doesn't win, your Second Amendment is going to be in trouble, big trouble. Today's Democrat Party would rather protect criminal aliens than American citizens. Democrat sanctuary cities release violent criminals from jail and straight into your neighborhoods. MS-13, killers. They don't like using guns because it's too quick. They like cutting people up, slicing them. The Democrats are a big risk to the American family, and our country cannot afford to take those kind of risks.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.